So far in the SAP Business by Design supply chain training, we've been working with a lot of configuration data, master data, and so on. Looked at the organization unit, how to create the organization unit, which are part of configuration data. We've also worked with master data, supplier master data, um, customer master data, which are accounts. We've also taken a look at the item master data, like the product data, for example, the material master data, and the service master data. Now, let's delve into the third phase of the SAP uh, data, which is called transactional data. So, what are transactional data? Transactional data are data that are generated during a business transaction or event. So transactional data, they are dynamic and can change as business processes are carried out. Okay, example of a transactional data are the purchase order document, the purchase invoice document that you work with, the sales invoice, the sales order, the delivery document you raise when you are carrying out a delivery operation to your customers, or the goods in transit or inbound delivery document that you raise during your um, procurement operations. All right. These examples of transactional data are the life cycle of the business processes of SAP, major SAP business softwares. So we are going to start with taking a look at how to work with some of this transactional data. But first, the first transactional data that we need to work with is the RFQ, which is called the request for quotation. So we need to take a look at how you create a request for quotation and how you ensure your suppliers or your bidders uh, send their quotes and you track the quotes from each of your suppliers, which have a role of a bidder. And from there, you can award or decline a quote based on your own, the company's specific criteria or targets. All right, so let's go into the demo and see how this is done. So to get started with the RFQ, we need to use the Sourcing and Contracting Work Center. So we navigate to the Sourcing and Contracting Work Center. So from the Sourcing and Contracting Work Center, we can click on the overview to see information that are relating to the sourcing and contracting. So we have the sourcing request where you can source a request from a contract or you can source a request from a purchase request. Okay, so what we are going to be dealing with today is the RFQ and quotes, which is request for quotation. Then we also have some tasks here, which are requests for quotes. So you can use this work center to see the list of quotes that have been submitted or that are in preparation. All right, you can also manage contracts with your suppliers or bidders. So you can create a contract, you can release a contract, and you can see contracts that are in preparation as well. And then you can run reports for all this. Okay, so I'm going straight into the request for quotations and quotes. So we have some status for RFQ here. Like these are RFQs that have a status of in progress ready, that are ready to be used. Okay, so let's see the list of all RFQs. So I'm clicking here. Okay, so these are the list of all the requests for quotation we have in the system. So to get started, we can use the action button where we can edit a quotation. We can create a new RFQ or task or notification. We can also, by selecting any of the RFQ, create a new quote. And we're going into that. We can show quotes and compare quotes for each RFQ. So these are transactional data. These are data that happens, that reoccur daily. They are daily transactions that you need to record or track the operations of these records. So to get started, let's take a look at an existing quote. So I'm selecting the first quote. So this is the quote that has been created in the, an RFQ that has been created in the system, and we have the general information. So the general information has the RFQ description, the submission deadline, which is the deadline that this RFQ is going to expire, the currency, the process, the RFQ process type, the target, if there's a target value that we are looking at for um, this RFQ, then the purchasing unit, um, the category. So this category means you can the codes require for all items. So all the items that are going to be created here is what the codes is required for. Then bidder can add item. So your suppliers can allow your supplier to add item. Bidders can change submitted codes here. So if you want to allow your suppliers to change the codes, tender fees required, bidder can add after publishing. All right. So all these informations are crucial. Then you can assign this RFQ to a project. So let's say you have a project, you can assign this RFQ to the project. So these are the area where the view where you add all the items. So we only have one item here. So um, then you can see the list of suppliers that are bidding for this contract, for this RFQ. So at some point, you will see their code. So if there's an approval, if this RFQ needs to be approved, then you need to, you will see the approver, the owner, the person who is responsible for approving this RFQ. Also is the quotes. So you can see the list of submitted quotes, those ones that are declined and the one that is awarded. So you see it there. So you can also go in details to see um, the details of the quote that was submitted. So this quote was actually submitted by a bidder. So this is the bidder ID. Um, so this is the item information. The item is going to be automatically picked by the RFQ. So if you want to edit, you can edit, but we're not going into that. So you can also compare the quotes for um, for the RFQ. Then if I click on the compare quotes, you can see the first quote, the second quote, the third quote. So the second quote was awarded. You can see the quote status as the first declined, the second awarded, and so on. So you can pick a quote on, but I'm just going to close. You can export this also to either PDF or Excel. Okay, and you can also see the document flow. So the document flow is actually like a relationship map to show you the status of the RFQ. So an RFQ was generated, three quotes were generated from each suppliers, which happens to have a bidder role, and um, the awarded quote was actually given the contract. So you can see the contract is in preparation, and you can finalize the contract by signing or approving if the contract is actually based on, is subjected to approval. Okay, so that is that for this. So we can also, let's extend this view so you can see the extended view, or you can hide details to see, to have a more contrast view. Okay, so if there are changes that are made to any of the RFQ fields or documents, you can track these changes from here. Then we also have notes, so you can see these are changes that are made so far. So we have notes, and we have attachments if there is a reason for you to attach probably the RFQ document also. And then we have the output history. Okay, so I'm going to close this and let's create a new RFQ. Okay, so to create a new RFQ, we need to use the new action button. Now, the essence of creating an RFQ is to help you manage items that you frequently buy from your suppliers. Like, let's say, for example, you have some category of item that you buy at almost every interval, probably for your project or for internal consumption or for any reason. And you want to maintain a price for, you want to track or maintain a specific price for this item, or you want to have uh, a preferred supplier that you want to have a deal with that can deliver the item, or you just feel okay, the organization needs to have a contract that is binding them between whenever they want to procure this item or service. It can be an item, it can be a service. So you can use the RFQ to create a contract that is going to be used. So whenever there is a procurement transaction, uh, the system is automatically going to determine the source of supply for this item or service that you created the RFQ for, based on the awarded contract, or awarded contract for, or the quote, based on the awarded quote from the supplier or the bidder, from the supplier who happens to have a bidder role. Okay, so to get started, we need to give the RFQ a description. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and fill this. Okay, so I fill this information. Now I'm clicking the next. So here we need to assign the items. So we already have the item master data, material master data that we created in the past episode. So please go to the previous episode if you have issue, selecting or searching for if you have been following. So if you have been following the video, please go to the previous episode and the material product data section to see how we work with the material master data. It's very detailed. You can use that to, create the item master data or service. Okay, so we already have our products created, so let's select them. So I'm selecting the three items we already created. So I'm adding another row. The second. Okay, let's just use this two. Okay, let's select the third one. Okay, so the requested target value. So we can choose target value can be 5 or 1. Okay, let's choose 1, 1, 1. So the target value, the target quantity and the target value. So the target quantity is the quantity we are buying, we are looking at buying, and the value at which we are buying, the quantity is going to be submitted here. So I'm just going to enter the value. Okay, so we can go to the next view. So here we need to set the bidders. Now we can either tell the system to propose a bidders for us. So you can see that we don't have any bidders. If we have bidders that the system can propose to us, so the automatically they will be shown here. So for products that we've bought from other suppliers, if we select any of them, then the system is going to propose some of those suppliers to us. But in this case, because we have these items as new items, then we need to pick our own bidders, which are suppliers. Okay, so we created a supplier. I think is the CBT Consulting. Okay, let's add more supplier. Okay, I'm just going to choose this. Okay, and the CFG Associates. Okay. Oh, okay. So those are the bidders. So let's click the next button. So here we have the review. So we can now send the information to the bidders, or we can save. Let's check if there are any errors. So no errors. We can save the RFQ for the system to create it. So an ID is generated for this RFQ. Then finally, we can send to bidders. So we have a confirmation message here, and we can say okay. Okay, so the RFQ is now sent to the bidders. So next is to now start creating the quotes. Let's imagine the bidders or the suppliers with the bidder rules. Uh, they've now, received the quotation. I mean, the request for quotation. Now they've started sending their quotes. So we need to start creating the quotes for the RFQ. So I'm going to refresh for us to see the RFQ we just created. So if you click on the RFQ ID and let's click on the viewer button for us to have more information. We can navigate to the quotes. We can see there are no quotes. These are the bidders. So what we need to do is to create a new quote. So we need to select the bidder who we are creating the quote for, the bidder who actually sent the quote. So first, let's select the first bidder and click next. Okay, so here we just need to click on the next button so we can set the bidder target value, or we click next. So we have the list of items here, and we can set the quantity here. Okay, so first for the first item, um, this is the requested target value. This is what we are offering. Okay, so here the bidder is bidding for 550. Okay, let's expand. For this, the bidder is bidding for 650. for the last one, it's bidding for 7. Okay, so that is for one price unit of one. And there we go. Okay, so we can check if there are any errors. You can click next. Okay, so this is the price the bidder. Okay, I think we made a mistake for this. Should be 750. Let's check again. Okay, no errors. Next. So you can see we now have 750, 650, and 550, and the offered value is this amount. So we can save and submit. So the quote ID 29 is created, so we can click OK. So I'm just going to receive the other two quotes by pausing the video. So all quotes are now created. So let's see the quotes that have been created. Okay, so if we go to the quotes, we now have all the quotes. So each bidder has their payment terms. One is 30 days, the other one is 14 days, and the last one is 30 days as well. So we've received quote for all the items, yes, and we can compare the quotes. So we can see the first quote was sent. These are the items, and the second quote was also sent or submitted, but none of the quotes were awarded. So the status are still showing submitted. So we can see the detailed information about all the quotes. So we can also select each quote by clicking on the select button. So let's select the quote for the first bidder. So this is the quote for the first bidder. So you can see the category the product belongs to. Then this is the pricing the bidder gave, and this is our offer target. Okay, so we can also click the viewer button to see more information about the code. So this is the code, the items, and the requested target value, and the submitted value. Okay, you can also see the document flow. Then from the action button, you can either award, decline, you can close the quote or return, you can save or perform any other action that is required. Okay, so I'm just going to close this. So if we go to the next bidder, we can also see the quote from the next bidder, which is this. You can see this quote is higher, the price is higher. We can close this as well and see the third bidder, and we can see the price, the offer target, you can see is also higher. So let's now award and decline some quotes. So I'm going to close this and close this. Okay, so from the request for quotation that we have here under the quotes, we can select the quote and click on the award. So if we click on the quote again, we can award the quote based on the price or the terms and condition or any criteria that you want to judge this quote by awarding it. So I'm judging it by the price. You can see we have 510, 620, and 710 here. So for the second quote, so we are not buyers. If we are awarding by price, so 580, 570, 560, which is on the high side, and the last quote is 550, 650, 750. Okay, so we are awarding the first bidder the contract. So I'm awarding, and are you sure you want to determine? Yes. Okay, so the quote is awarded. You can also use the compare quote to award or decline the contract. So you can see from the award here, the first bidder has been awarded the contract. So that's why it's grayed out actually. So let's decline the other quotes. So if I select, I can decline this. I can also decline this. Okay, so if you now compare quotes, you can see um, the status. Okay, you can see the status as awarded and declined. So let's close this. Oh, and go back to sourcing and contract quotes. Clicking the view quotes. Okay, so awarded, declined, declined. So if I compare quotes, so we can see now, I think, okay, the quote status decline is declined and this is awarded. Okay, so that is that. So let's close. And now if we use the document flow, we can see the status of the document. So if I had details, we can see the first quote, the second quote was declined, declined, and the last quote was actually awarded. Okay, so we can see the contract status of this quote that was automatically generated. So this is the contract that was awarded, and we can see by clicking the view all, you can see the full information of the contract. And let's see if this contract is subjected to approval. Okay, so it's subjected to approval. From this contract, we can also negotiate using the sourcing request. So we can create a new sourcing request and negotiate the price, or we can release the contract to we can release the contract for final approval. Okay, so by awarding the contract, I mean by awarding the quotation, which is here on the quote, by awarding the quotes, automatically a contract, a purchasing contract is created automatically. And you can see this contract information when you navigate to the work center, sourcing and contracting, and go straight to contracts. So if you scroll down here, this is the contract. So the status is in preparation, it's not yet released. So I can click on the contract and click on the view all button. So let's quickly release this contract. You can either negotiate further, like I said earlier, or you can click the release. I can also see the document flow from here. So let's see extended view of the contract. Okay, so I can release and the contract is now released. So if I refresh this, I can click here and see the status of the contract. So now it's in approval. So let's quickly approve this. So I need to log out and log in with the finance. Okay, so I can log in, and when we go to the managing area, approvals, then I can either approve, reject, or send it back for revision. So you can see this is the owner of the contract, Janet, and so I'm just going to click approve. So the status is now approved, and I need to go back to my work center. I need to log out. Okay, so we are going to log into the application. So I'm just going to click the restart application and sign in with the admin account. Okay, so next we need to check the sourcing and contracting work center and check the RFQ and quotes to look for the quotes we created and the contract that was generated from the quotes. Okay, so I'm just going to click on all RFQs, get the reports. Okay, so the request for quotation HP laptop is what we are working with. So I'm going to click on it. So this is all the information of the quotes, and these are the item details. Alright, so if we click on the view all button, let's see the contract that was approved. If we go to the document flow, um, you can see the status of the contracts. And let's just click on the extended view and reduce the zoom quality. Okay, so this is this contract status. If I increase the size, you can see the status is now released. So if I click on the ID, I'm going to have the full details of the contract. So this is the contract general information, the supplier information. So the supplier is going to actually be the person responsible for delivering all these items. So this is the main contract of the supplier. Then if you look at the item details, you can see the contract information for all the items. So we have three items, and this is their um, value. This is the value at which we agreed. And you can see that the contract status is not expired. So if you click on the view all, we can have full information of the item, I mean the contract. So I can see all the items here. You can also navigate to see the person who is responsible for the approval and also document flow. So the document flow is going to show the same document flow from the RFQ. So we have a sales request for quotation, suppliers, quotes for this contract, and the purchase contract that was actually approved. So you can see the status of the contract. You can also go directly into the contract from the contract work center. You can track the changes of this contract here. So any changes that were made to the contract, you can track them. You can add notes, probably internal or external notes, and you can have a document attached or links that is binding the contract or anything that is responsible for binding or physical document or legal document that is binding the contract. Also, you can print the contract, have your output uh, history defined here. So, managing RFQ is not just for items. You can also manage RFQ with services. So, you can have services that you want to bind them with the contract with your probably your suppliers, your service suppliers, and so on. So you can also bind a contract or bind an RFQ with a contract for services operation, probably services that is required for a project or probably expense or something, or anything that is related to the contract or service. All right, so um, that is the information we have for you from the RFQ and contract. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.